Hi Year 2, welcome to Wednesday's English lesson. I would like you to write today's date and skill into your book, please. The date today is Wednesday the 24th of February 2021 and your skill is to consider a character's thoughts and feelings. Write this in your book now please and then unpause the video when you're ready to begin today's lesson. Okay, let's have a look then at our SPAG starter for today. Now in a moment I'm going to show you a couple of sentences and you're going to write those sentences in your book. You're going to circle the verbs and underline the nouns in those sentences. But before we do that, what is a verb and what is a noun? I'd like you to discuss these questions, please. Pause the video. Okay, so a verb then is a doing word. We could have walking, talking, laughing, lots of different examples of verbs there. And a noun is the name of a person, place, animal or thing. Thinking about that then, here are our two sentences and I'm going to read them to you and I want you to think what are the verbs and what are the nouns in these sentences. So, the spider quickly scuttled across the bright blue table. And then the second sentence, the green frog was sitting on the small lily pad. What I'd like you to do is write both of these sentences into your book. I'd like you to circle the verbs in these sentences and underline the nouns in these sentences. Pause the video please and do that now. Okay, let's have a look at this first sentence then. The spider quickly scuttled across the bright blue table. What was the verb in that sentence? Well done, scuttled. It's describing how the spider is moving. So that word is a doing word there for scuttling. And this one is past tense. We've got scuttled. Okay, what about the nouns then in this sentence? So the spider quickly scuttled across the bright blue table. What were the nouns? Well done, spider and table. Good. Okay, next sentence then. The green frog was sitting on the small lily pad. What was the verb in that sentence? Excellent, sitting. So we've circled that verb. And what about the nouns in this sentence? Brilliant, frog and lily pad. Excellent work, Year 2. So today we are going to be writing thought bubbles as characters from the story. Now this is the story that we are going to be looking at over the next 2 weeks in our English lessons. And if you haven't already, you need to go and watch the video where I read this story to you so that you know all about these characters and the events of this story. Okay, so before we even think about thought bubbles, what were the main characters in this story? Tell the person next to you. Okay, so we've got the spider who wants to become this family's pet. So we've got the spider as one of our main characters and the family members are our main characters in this story as well. Okay, what is a thought bubble then? So we're going to be writing thought bubbles today. What is a thought bubble? I'd like you to pause the video and discuss this question, please. Okay, so a thought bubble is where you write from the perspective of a character. You're going to write how they're feeling and what they're thinking. So when we write a thought bubble, we write how the characters feel and what they're thinking. Okay. When we are writing our thought bubbles, we can use conjunctions to add extra detail. Okay, what is a conjunction? And even better if you can come up with an example of a conjunction too. So it's a long word, it's a tricky word, and we're just back from half term, aren't we? So we might have forgotten a little bit about what a conjunction is. So just refresh your memory. What is a conjunction? Pause the video and have a little think, please. Okay, so a conjunction is a word that connects clauses or sentences together. So I've got my picture of a chain here because it shows really nicely that the conjunction is the word that connects them. So this one in the middle links the first sentence and the second sentence together. What conjunctions could you use in your writing then? So now you know the definition of a conjunction, okay, and how they use them and the actual definition and the explanation of a conjunction. What conjunctions could you use in your writing today? So I'd like you to pause the video and come up with a little list. You don't have to write anything down, just come up with a list verbally of the conjunctions you might like to use. Pause the video, please. So we might use and, because, but, then, or, so, if, and as. Now there are other conjunctions that you can use, but these are some of the ones that we tend to focus on when we're in Year 2. So these are the conjunctions you might like to use in your writing today. To help us get into character then, before we do any writing or write any thought bubbles, we are going to do some hot seating. Okay, now I'm going to explain what that is in a moment. you're going to need someone to work with. Now, if you're in school, you're going to work with your talk partner, but if you're at home and you haven't got a grown-up or a sibling that you can work with, that you can do a little bit of acting with, then don't worry, you can still do this task. You will just be thinking about how the character is feeling at different points in the story, rather than interviewing and answering questions, okay? So you can still complete this, you'll just be doing it slightly differently, okay? So if you can complete this with a partner, then let's think about how you're going to do that, how you're going to complete the hot seating activity. So task 1. One of you will ask the spider questions about how it felt at different points in the story, and the other person will answer as the spider. Okay, so it's really helpful if you are at home and you're working with someone that maybe they've watched the video as well, so that they get a little bit of an understanding of the character. Okay. You're going to then swap roles after a few questions. Now, if you're asking spider questions, you can use this question hand to help you. So we've got some question words here that will help jog our memory of how we start a question. So we've got how, who, what, when, where, and why. Okay, and you can use these to create a question. So how did you feel when you were thrown outside? Why did the family throw you outside? Where did you dance? So where did the spider dance? Things like that. Okay, so lots of different questions there. There's just some examples I've given you. Okay, so remember, one of you is going to be the spider answering the questions, one of you is going to be like the mini interviewer asking the questions, and then once you've done a few, you're then going to swap roles. So the other person is going to be the interviewer, and the other person is then going to be the spider answering the questions. So I'd like you to just complete task 1. We're not going to look at task 2 just yet, but I'd like you to pause the video and complete that now, please. Well done. Okay, I'm sure you've all got into character there and started to think about the events from the perspective of the spider. Excellent. So task 2 then. This time, you're just going to spend a couple of minutes on this, don't spend too long on it, but this time for task 2, one of you is going to ask the questions again, so one of you is going to be the interviewer, and then the other person is going to answer it as one of the family members. So we've done our work about the spider, and you're now going to act as one of the family members. Okay, so again, use this question word to help you. So you might say, what was the spider doing in the bath? Or why did you decide to throw the spider outside? Or how did you feel when you saw the spider dangling above you when you were eating your dinner? Okay, so lots of questions there that you could ask the family member. Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video and complete task 2 now. Have fun. Okay, excellent acting. Okay, so now then, it is time to do our main activity. Now you're going to do 2 short thought bubbles. So I'm not expecting a lot of writing today, just a couple of sentences for each of the thought bubbles you're going to complete. So for your first writing task then, you're going to draw a picture of the spider to the left of your page in your book. Now don't do anything just yet. I'm going to show you your steps to success and an example in a moment. You're going to choose an event in the book when the spider was trying to become the family pet but was not being accepted. Now these are those 3 events, so you're not writing about anything else today. You're going to pick one of these events and write about it. So the first one is when the spider decided to dance, okay, in front of the family and they all got a bit scared. This one is when the spider was trying to show the family how clean the spider was, and then Mum washed it down the drain. And this event, was when the spider was trying to show how it could feed itself, and actually they were all petrified of seeing the spider web above them. Okay, so these are the 3 events you're going to choose to write about from the spider's perspective. Okay, you're then going to write a thought bubble, a short thought bubble, explaining what the spider was thinking and how it was feeling. And this is where your conjunctions come in. So you can always go back to that slide and have a look at the conjunctions to help you. So let's have a look at our steps to success then as to how we can complete this today. So you must have an awareness of a character's thoughts and feelings, which you've all done by your brilliant acting in the hot seating activity. You should use adjectives to describe the character's thoughts and feelings. So as the spider, you might be using words like disappointed, miserable, sad, unhappy. Lots of words there you can describe as to how the spider's feeling. She just wants to become the family pet, and they're petrified of her, aren't they? You could use conjunctions to extend your sentences and add in extra detail. Now, if you've read back through your thought bubble and you've used and, or because, you might want to go back to the slide with all of the conjunctions on to take the video back, and then have a look at some other conjunctions so you've used a variety. So that's your could, so that's if you're really challenging yourself today, okay? You might include a rhetorical question. Now, I know we try and include lots of different sentences in our writing, but remember, if we're not too sure what that is, a rhetorical questions are questions we ask that we don't expect an answer to. So, for example, in a moment you're going to be writing about the spider, and you're going to be writing things like, I felt sad because I just wanted to be their family pet. So you might ask a question, you might write the question, why is the family scared of me? That might be a question that the spider is asking itself, and it doesn't necessarily need an answer to it, but it could be included in the thought bubble. Okay. So before you begin then, let's have a look at a good example, okay? Now, if you're doing the cool challenge, then I'm going to go through your activity in a minute, but if you are not doing the cool challenge, then your thought bubble should not be any longer than this, okay? So it's just a brief thought bubble today. So let's read through our waggle then, our what a good one looks like. I've got my picture here, and then underneath I've got my thought bubble. I was so pleased with the amazing web I had made because I had caught lots of flies to eat. When the family looked up, I thought they'd be really happy, but they screamed, "Ah, spider!" They looked terrified. Suddenly, I was being put outside, so I felt really disappointed. I just want to be a family pet. Why don't they like me? Okay, so what conjunctions did I use here then? Just briefly with your partner, what conjunctions did I use? Well done. I've used because over here. I've used but here, and I've used so here. Okay, well done. So here are your steps to success then, just to remind you if you're going through, you're thinking, I'm not sure what else to include, that will help you. Cool challenge then, before you begin. So cool challenge, you're also going to draw the picture of the spider, but then rather than writing in full sentences, I would just like you to write down 5 adjectives describing how the spider felt, okay? So you can write them under or next to your spider instead of writing a thought bubble. So remember, adjectives are describing words. So you're just using words, so feeling words, saying how the spider felt. So sad, disappointed, unhappy, miserable, all those lovely words that we can think about to describe how that spider is feeling, okay? So I'd now like you to complete your first task. Pause the video, please. Excellent, well done. So now then, you are going to choose an event. So you might pick a different one. So if you picked, for example, the cobweb above their table when they're eating dinner, you might pick the time when the spider was in the bath this time. It's up to you, okay? Or you can just pick the same one, okay? I would now like you to choose your event then, and you're going to draw a picture of the family member from the event to the left of your page in your book. So exactly how you did with the spider, you're just going to draw a picture of the family member this time. Now, it might just be the mum. So if you're doing the bath one, you might just draw the mum, or here you might draw the whole family. Okay, it's up to you. Underneath then, you're then going to write a thought bubble explaining what that family member was thinking and how they were feeling when they saw the spider. So let's have a look at an example then. So here is my what a good one looks like. And I have picked, which event is this? Well done, it's when the spider was dancing and the family got very scared. Oh no, there's a huge spider on the carpet. What's the spider doing? Oh, I really don't like spiders because they're terrifying. I know, I'll put it in a cup and then put it outside so it can go and live out there. Okay, very quickly then with your partner, what conjunctions can you see? Well done. I've got the conjunction because here saying why they don't like spiders, and I've also got and here adding more detail. Brilliant. So remember, cool challenge, you are going to draw your picture of the family member, but you're just writing down 5 adjectives to describe how they felt. So terrified, petrified, worried, nervous, lots of amazing adjectives that you can use today. Okay, everyone else, you're going to be writing your thought bubble. I'd now like you to pause the video and complete your second task. Off you go, please. Okay, excellent. Excellent. I'm sure you have all done an amazing job today with your acting and with your writing. Well done, Year 2. You should give yourself a big pat on the back. Excellent work. So, your plenary then, the last little thing I'd like you to think about. The spider is a very unusual pet, isn't it? Usually we have a dog or a cat or a hamster, anything like that. But what animal or mini beast would you choose as an unusual pet if you could have one? So if you could have any animal as a pet, what animal would you choose? Okay, so I'd like you just to have a think about this question. Tell the person next to you, say why you'd like it. So for example, I really like giraffes, so I might have a giraffe as my pet, although I don't know if it would fit in my house because it's got a very long neck. So then it would be a very unusual pet, wouldn't it? Okay, so I would now like you to share this with the person next to you, and then when you've done that, you've finished today's lesson. Have a lovely day, Year 2. Goodbye!